In 1948, a British entomologist named Kenneth Mellanby submitted a research paper to the Ministry of Agriculture that should have changed gardening forever. He had spent 3 years documenting something that farmers in rural India, West Africa, and Central America had known for generations, that two specific herbs grown in or around a food garden reduced insect pest pressure so completely that the farmers using them had stopped thinking of pests as a problem worth solving, not reduced. Eliminated, season after season. Without sprays. Without powders. Without anything purchased at all. The ministry filed the report. Funded no follow-up research. And within 5 years, the same government office was distributing subsidized DDT to every agricultural county in Britain. The herbs Mellanby documented were basil and tansy. And what they do to the insect nervous system, to pest behavior, and to the biological environment around your plants is something the $84 billion pesticide industry has spent 70 years making sure you would frame as folklore rather than science. It is not folklore, it is chemistry. And once you understand the mechanism, you will never reach for a spray bottle again. Why insects are easier to repel than anyone told you insects do not wander randomly through gardens until they stumble onto something edible. They navigate by chemistry. Every plant releases a continuous stream of volatile organic compounds, microscopic chemical signals that drift through the air from every leaf surface. Pest insects have evolved receptor systems of extraordinary sensitivity to detect the specific compounds released by their target plants. A female aphid can identify a suitable host plant from 30 meters away on a still day, purely from the chemical signature drifting toward her. This is why monoculture farming is a catastrophe from an insect perspective. A field of a single crop broadcasts a single chemical signal at maximum intensity in every direction. It is a beacon. Every pest species that has evolved to target that crop follows the signal straight to it. What basil and tansy do is interrupt that signal at the source. Not by poisoning the insects, not by creating a barrier, by chemically overwhelming the receptor system the pest uses to navigate. So completely that the target plant effectively disappears from the insect's sensory map. The plant is still there. The pest simply cannot find it anymore. Basil, the mechanism basil, produces one of the most chemically complex volatile profiles of any common garden plant. The primary active compounds are linalool, eugenol, and estragol, small volatile molecules that evaporate rapidly at ambient temperature and disperse through the air from every leaf surface. A 2009 study published in Pest Management Science tested basil volatile emissions on aphid host-finding behavior. Aphids exposed to basil compounds at concentrations equivalent to a single plant within 2 meters showed a 72% reduction in successful host location. They were not repelled in the sense of turning away, they simply failed to find the plant they were searching for. The basil compounds occupied the same olfactory receptor sites the aphids used to detect their host and produced no navigable signal of their own. The aphids were effectively flying blind. The University of Naples conducted a separate trial in 2014 examining basil interplanted with tomatoes at a ratio of 1 basil plant per 4 tomatoes. Whitefly infestation rates in interplanted beds were 65% lower than in control beds at the end of the season. No sprays, no interventions. 1 basil plant per 4 tomatoes. Basil also attracts predatory insects. Hoverflies, lacewings, parasitic wasps, all natural predators of common garden pests, are strongly drawn to basil's volatile compounds. The same chemistry that blinds the pest draws in the hunter. Tansy, mechanism tansy works by a different and more aggressive mechanism. The primary active compound is thujone, a monoterpene that acts as a direct neurotoxin to insects at concentrations well below what is harmful to mammals or soil organisms. Thujone disrupts the inhibitory signals that regulate muscle movement in the insect nervous system. At field concentrations, the effect is not lethal, it is intensely aversive. Insects that enter a tansy volatile field experience continuous low-level disorientation. They leave. They do not return. A 2017 study from the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences tested tansy companion planting against Colorado potato beetle, species that has developed resistance to over 50 synthetic insecticides since 1950. Plots with tansy planted at the border showed an 80% reduction in beetle egg laying compared to unprotected control plots. The beetles, as were present in the area, they were simply not landing on the protected plants 80%, against a beetle that has defeated 50 synthetic insecticides. Tansy also works underground. Its root exudates, compounds released directly into the soil from the root system, are strongly suppressive to soil-dwelling pest larvae. Wireworm, cutworm, and carrot fly larvae all show significant avoidance behavior in soils conditioned by tansy root chemistry. The protection extends through the entire root zone, not just above the surface. Why this was buried between 1935 and 1955, at least 14 peer-reviewed studies documented significant pest suppression from aromatic companion plants. The research was consistent. The mechanisms were partially understood. The practical application required nothing more than seeds and soil. Then the synthetic pesticide industry arrived. In 1947, Velsigal patented chlordane. In 1948, Bayer began commercial production of parathion. In 1950, Shell launched its agricultural division. The industry did not emerge slowly. It arrived in a decade fully funded with government backing in every major industrial nation. Planting chemistry did not fit the business model. You cannot patent basil. You cannot charge annual fees for tansy. You cannot build a recurring purchase cycle around plants that self-seed freely and grow in any climate. So the research was not refuted. It was not disproven. It was simply not continued. Within a generation, knowledge that had been standard practice on farms across Europe and Asia was reframed as old wives' tales. The kind of thing your grandmother believed before science arrived to replace her with a spray bottle. The grandmother was right. How to plant basil. Plant one basil plant for every 3 to 4 vegetables in your bed. Interplant directly between your tomatoes, peppers, and brassicas. This maximizes volatile dispersal within the canopy where pest insects navigate. Pinch flowering tips regularly to keep the plant producing leaves. A flowering basil plant redirects its energy toward reproduction and volatile output drops significantly. Keep it vegetative and it keeps working. Do not expect dried basil to do the same job. The volatile compounds evaporate within hours of harvest. The chemistry that protects your garden requires a living plant releasing compounds continuously. Tansy. Plant tansy at the border of your beds rather than within them. It spreads aggressively via rhizome and will crowd out neighboring plants without containment. One plant per 2 to 3 meters of bed perimeter is sufficient. Contain the root zone with a buried physical barrier. A slate offcut pushed 30 centimeters into the soil works well. Tansy is mildly toxic in large quantities. Wear gloves when handling it and keep it away from livestock. Together. Basil handles the flying pest navigation problem. Tansy handles persistent, chemically resistant ground level and soil pests. Between them, they address the majority of pest pressure that drives most gardeners toward a spray bottle. What Mellanby knew. Kenneth Mellanby died in 1993. He spent the last decades of his career documenting the ecological consequences of the pesticide era he had watched begin. The collapse of insect populations, the soil biology damage, the chemical residues accumulating in food chains that nobody had modeled before the spraying started. He was not a romantic, he was not anti-science, he was an entomologist who understood insects well enough to know that the industry built around killing them had never seriously asked whether killing them was necessary. The herbs he documented in 1948 are still growing. The chemistry they produce has not changed. The pest insects they confuse and repel are still navigating by the same receptor systems they were using when Mellanby was watching them in his field trials. 2 plants. 2 mechanisms, 1 season to see the difference. The discovery was never really buried. It was just waiting for someone to plant it again.